you, Jesse, and good afternoon to our viewers. Indeed, it's a remarkable and tremendous job that the administration of our results, of our examination, seems to be regaining the integrity that it deserves. But I think these results discount largely what has always been thought, that perhaps performance was a factor of cheating in examinations, because you have seen that results have tremendously gone up. Performance is on a record high. I do not think that this country has ever witnessed such kind of results than what we have seen this year. So it follows the fact that perhaps for so long we have dwelt on the wrong things when we allege that examination cheating is to account for the high performance. And that's why one of the things that perhaps you never had the Cabinet Secretary mention today is whether they are going to absorb all the 12,000 candidates into the national schools, the way it was last year. So I think this follows that there ought to be a very, very serious conversation on whether indeed the fundamentals of our education are right, which definitely are not right. So there is so much that requires to be fixing. Otherwise, it's quite commendable that we are managing to restore integrity in our national assessment framework.
Perhaps also going by what the Cabinet Secretary mentioned, apart from the cases of cheating that were actually put into account and they were able to deal with them, they also mentioned that the gender parity in this year's KCPE examinations were quite commendable. We have seen girls outshine boys in previous examinations, especially the 2017 KCPE examinations. Now, it is a matter of balancing in terms of the education we give to our young ones, not just in terms of gender parity, but also the students, the candidates with special needs. Is this something we also need to look forward to as we continue invigorating or energizing our education system?
Thank you, Jesse. Unfortunately, I do not think that we have much to celebrate on this aspect of gender. First of all, when the Cabinet Secretary mentioned the kind of counties where the number of girls outdid the number of boys, they are the traditional counties. So you're realizing that counties that have traditionally left girls behind, you're talking about the entire coastal strip, you're talking about the entire northern region, Wajir, Mandera, Garissa, Marsabit, Turkana, West Pokot, Kajiado, Narok, Samburu, Isiolo. These are counties where still the number of girls registering for examinations are pretty low. So I do not think that by using the national statistic of 50.1 against 49.9% should be sufficient for us to allege that we are almost there. I think that we've got serious challenges as far as addressing gender issues are concerned. So I think that we require more to interrogate these numbers a little bit further and realize specifically what will be happening in specific counties. And in addition to that, you also have to discount the issue of looking at averages in terms of gender, because you equally also have to look at the population. Does this significantly represent what the population is? And I just want to give you an example. We're talking about an improvement in the candidature of 5.9%. Is that what represents our population growth in this country? Our population growth is much higher than that. I think we're increasing at a rate of almost 6.7%, close to 7%. So it still speaks to the reality that we could still be having more than 1 million children who are still out of school. So I think that these results give some very, very basic and preliminary information, but it's not sufficient for us to celebrate and say that we are there yet.
All right, well noted. As we conclude, the issue of teenage pregnancies was a very big issue in this year's 2018. Both the KCPE and the KCSE examinations. The Cabinet Secretary noted that a total of, was it 9 cases were recorded during the KCPE examinations where the teenagers actually got pregnant while doing their examinations. As we move on, yes, they are conducting a survey to actually ascertain the particular number of individuals who are affected by this. What should the government do as we go on to ensure that we totally eradicate the cases of teenage pregnancies?
Thank you, Jesse. On this one, I want to agree with the Cabinet Secretary 100%. We cannot take the issue of teenage pregnancy and take it to the doorstep of the Ministry of Education. This is something that affects the entire society. It is a challenge that all of us need to own it up And I think that what we should be doing is to provide support and mechanisms through which parents could actively participate in terms of nabbing this issue into the bud. Because unless we find a sustainable and long-term way of how to address this issue, I do not think that by assuming that this education sector will solve this challenge in itself is a measure that will work. So number one, we already have a legal framework in place. People who defile young children, there's a clear law around it. And that's why the Teacher Service Commission has taken action. That if there are employees of the commission who are teachers and head teachers who are implicated, they are definitely deregistered, and even their names are shamed. They are put on the website so that nobody should be allowed to employ them to teach in any part of this country or in any school. But if you look at the way we have cultured ourselves around how we address these issues, it raises a lot of concern. For instance, in villages when these issues occur, what happens? We have got victims and perpetrators who look for indirect ways and shortcuts of how to address these issues. So I think I want to agree with the Cabinet Secretary that this has to go beyond the Ministry of Education. There is so much which the school can do. What about when schools have closed, for instance, the way they've closed right now? So I think that we need to have a conversation as a country. And this conversation should reverberate everywhere, in every hamlet, in every village, in every social gathering, in every mosque, in every temple, in every synagogue, in every church. We need to address the issue of what is the heritage and the legacy that we are leaving to our children. Otherwise, I do not think that we are going to have a future. The school can only do so much. And let's agree for a fact that the school cannot give your child what you yourself as a parent has not given to your child. So I think that it is important that parents take up the responsibility, they take up the challenge. It's never too much. It's just for a few years before these children are out of our houses as parents. So I think that we need to exercise a certain level of responsibility, and all of us have a responsibility to do it. Be it the media, the kind of information that we unleash outside there, be it in the social and religious gathering, the kind of conversations that we are engaging in should be conversations that are going to support our children to make responsible decisions. Because when we see what is happening around teenage pregnancy, it's all about irresponsible decisions. So we all of us have a role to play, and we cannot just relegate this responsibility to the Minister of Education.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was Amos Kaburu, definitely painting a clear picture of